jobs and revenue, but critics feared rising crime and threats to Broadway's culture. And music icons hit the stage this weekend at the iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas. Glorilla, Mariah Carey, LL Cool J, and more will perform live. Catch it on iHeart stations nationwide and streaming on Hulu. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This season, San Diego is playing at home, and you are on the roster. Don't miss the Padres, Wave FC, San Diego FC, and the Blue Angels at the Miramar Air Show. Plan your trip now at sandiego.org/awesome all year. Funded in part with City of San Diego Tourism Marketing District Assessment Funds.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers got a strong pitching performance from Blake Snell to beat Philadelphia last night 5-0. Snell had a season-high 12 strikeouts in 7 innings. The Dodgers got home runs from Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, his 51st this season. The Dodgers maintained their 2-game lead over San Diego in the NL West with 10 games left in the regular season. The Chargers placed All-Pro linebacker Khalil Mack on injured reserve, which means he'll miss at least the next 4 games. Mack was diagnosed with a dislocated left elbow. He was injured in the first quarter of the Chargers' win at Las Vegas Sunday night. The 34-year-old Mack has started 52 of 53 games with the Chargers. By the way, the Chargers have the number 1 defense in the NFL after 2 weeks, allowing only 15 points per game. The Chargers are at home Sunday against Denver. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, you know who's coming on when you hear that Michael Jackson song. It's the walk-on music for one of the top scholars we have in our country. He is the author of many books and scholarly articles. You can find them at any bookstore. You can find them online, and I suggest that you do. He is a professor of history. He holds the Moores Professorship of African American Studies and History at University of Houston. He's got his Ph.D. from Columbia, his J.D. from UC Berkeley, and his B.A. from Princeton. Bow, bow, bow. Dr. Gerald Horne, good morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Hardly know where to start. I guess we can start perhaps with the First Amendment. I've been marveling at what has happened to free speech absolutism in this country.
Well, as you know, the MAGA right is reeking with hypocrisy, despite the fact that the First Amendment to the vaunted U.S. Constitution speaks clearly about government not seeking to suppress the free speech rights of the citizens. You've had Vice President J.D. Vance making threats to those who are not sufficiently respectful to the memory of the late Charlie Kirk, Attorney General Pam Bondi, making similar sorts of threats. And you know that the latest news is that Jimmy Kimmel, the talk show host, has just been suspended indefinitely for a rather mild joke he made concerning Mr. Trump and Charlie Kirk. You have people losing their jobs all over the country because of insufficient respect to Charlie Kirk, a private citizen, by the way. Karen Attiah, the only Black opinion columnist of the Washington Post, just lost her position because of raising questions about Mr. Kirk and his alleged martyrdom. So we're in very deep and choppy waters right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed that, the Breitbart folks took a clip from this show and posted it on their website. And it's got a lot of views, and I've got a lot of hate stuff on socials. And also the station has gotten, flooded with calls and things. And there's a email campaign going on right now to have me removed from my job. I think they picked the wrong one with Mr. Tavis Smiley, although I guess you never know. But the point is that, it's reminding me of the time after 9/11 when everyone was walking on eggshells about what you could and couldn't say on the radio. But I feel like it's a level up because it's coming directly from the Federal Communications Commission. So it feels more like direct government censorship.
Indeed. And what's even more disturbing is that there are a lot of unanswered questions about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Many journalists have been pointing to a stormy meeting he had just last month in the Hamptons with pro-Zionist billionaire Bill Ackman, who you might recall was responsible for the sacking of the first Black woman president of Harvard University because of her insufficient enthusiasm for genocide in historic Palestine. And Mr. Charlie Kirk apparently was on the path to becoming a Catholic, like his close comrade, the Black woman flamethrower Candace Owens, who on her podcast has been raising all sorts of questions about Charlie Kirk and the way he was shot and what happened, etc. But because of the suppression of free speech, it's unclear if we'll ever get to the bottom of some of these questions that are being posed right now.
And so, I mean, technically, a private company can hire and fire whoever they want. They don't, free speech doesn't mean you have freedom from consequences. It just means you can say the thing unless it's fire in a crowded theater, right?
Well, shouting fire falsely in a crowded theater. And of course, with regard to defamation laws, you have to have some sort of reckless disregard for the truth. That is to say, you know something is false, but you say it anyway. In other words, it's not enough just to make a false statement. But with the Supreme Court in the hands of the conservative majority, they are bound, it seems to me, to twist the law of defamation to a pretzel in order to protect the right wing and the MAGA forces.
Yeah. A lot of things seem confusing right now. If you look at them in the context of what we considered normal or usual in this country prior to this particular January, for me, one of those is the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil, who was a permanent legal U.S. citizen, is my understanding, married to, not a citizen, a permanent resident, married to a U.S. citizen with a child who's a U.S. citizen, now an immigration judge in Louisiana has ordered that he be deported to either Algeria or Syria. What is that about? And first of all, is that normal for immigration judges to say you have to go to Syria, even though he's not from Syria or Algeria?
Well, as we oftentimes say in the United States nowadays, we're in uncharted waters right now.
Right.
Particularly with regard to this question of immigration, because it's apparent that this crackdown on immigrants is really having disastrous consequences on the construction industry and the agricultural industry, for example, who's going to pick the fruit and vegetables in the San Joaquin Valley, for example. With regard to Mr. Trump's policy towards Brazil, you see that in the Dakotas, where there's major soybean production, those farmers are suffering because China's now buying soybeans from Brazil. So the Trump regime is leading this country over the cliff. And then at the same time, they're suppressing our right to speak out about it.
Right. So, I mean, Khalil himself said that the Trump administration, quote, continues to retaliate against me for my exercise of free speech in their latest attempt through a kangaroo immigration court. He still gets to stay in the country because he's facing federal charges, and so he'll stay at least for those. But I'm still baffled about how a legal permanent resident, that's a green card holder basically, can be kicked out for his political views, which is really what it is. It's because he was protesting against the war in Gaza.
Well, keep in mind that just weeks ago, Mr. Trump announced the so-called homegrown. That is to say, folks who are born in the United States also have to be concerned about being deported. There's been loose talk about snatching the passports of some of us, for example. Already, we see folks being deported to Ghana, West Africa, to Djibouti, East Africa, to Eswatini, formerly Swaziland and Southern Africa, to South Sudan in Central Africa, even though none of these people necessarily have any connection to these African nations. Abrego Garcia of Maryland, as you know, is in the crosshairs. There's talk about deporting him to Africa as well. He's being presented with the choice of being deported either to Central America or to Africa, for example.
And he'll probably pick Africa because supposedly MS-13 is after him. And if that's the case, he'd probably be better off in South Sudan, crazy as that sounds. But how can you just send someone somewhere where they have no ties? How is that legal?
Well, we're going to be asking that question quite a bit. Recall the decision that was made a few days ago with regard to racial profiling.
Yeah.
That is to say that the immigration authorities can use as a kind of reasonable suspicion to detain you the fact that you speak Spanish or, quote, look Latino, whatever that means, quote unquote. And obviously that opens the door to all manner of transgressions. And it mimics what was unfolding in New York City under Mayor Bloomberg with regard to stop and frisk, where young Black men were being treated in a similar fashion on the basis of racial profiling.
Yeah. I don't know how that, again, you're right. We're going to be asking this question a lot because everyone's pointing out that apparently the Supreme Court thinks it's okay to use race to profile someone to deport them, but not okay to use it to help overturn the historic injustices of this country via affirmative action.
Well, yes, isn't that a contradiction? I mean, for example, affirmative action was overthrown with regard to those cases brought concerning Harvard University, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. The Supreme Court majority got on the soapbox and denounced as impermissible using race as a factor. But what they really meant to say is that it's okay to use race as a factor with regard to liabilities. It's not okay to use race as a factor with regard to granting assets.
Yeah. It's I think you started off talking about the stunning hypocrisy of the MAGA administration, the Republican administration, just really helpful to get your thoughts. I know we have a lot to cover, and you probably have a few things to share that I haven't even been tracking. Looking forward to that. Dr. Gerald Horne is our guest. We continue our conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Dr. Gerald Horne is our guest. Dr. Horne, you've got another new book out, and I wish people would buy it. People love to check you out on the podcast on KBLA. I think you're one of our most popular podcast guests. People love, love, love. So I hope they show you the same love in the bookstore.
Me too. But really, not necessarily because of book sales, but I'm trying to share ideas and share history so that we can better guide ourselves going forward.
You know, I typically read about 10 books at a time, 10 or 15. That's like, maybe it's a Gemini thing. I skip around and I'm reading a little of this one and a little of that one. So out of the 10 right now, I have 2 of yours in rotation.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm not the world's fastest reader, but man, do I learn so much reading your books. So I recommend, if you haven't done so, grab a Dr. Horne book. The latest one is the one focused on D.C., right?
Capital of Slavery, Washington, D.C., 1800 to 1865. I mean, here you had congressperson on Capitol Hill debating freedom and liberty, and within a stone's throw, you had Africans being sold like cattle.
Yeah. Well, that one is out now, and you can find it wherever you find books. So I hope you will find it. Carl Tucker is in the chat saying, I've been trying to get some of the jobs Dr. Horne is talking about, and they're looking for immigrants to come back. I mean, really? You're going to go pick lettuce? You're going to go in work an overnight shift in a dangerous slaughterhouse for minimum wage or less? Carl, how many of those jobs will you need to survive? If that's what you want, have at it. But I'm finding that hard to believe. What do you think, Dr. Horne?
Well, I agree with you. I don't think we should join the Trump train and start to bash immigrants. Instead, we should be trying to ally with our brown brothers and sisters against white supremacy. I think that's the only way out.
Yeah. And I keep saying that even within this environment, we are having some victories. We've got some great things on the governor's desk right now. Here in California, people are doing local initiatives. And I feel like there is the upside of social media is that people are getting information they wouldn't have had during the aftermath of 9/11 when social media was not at its nadir like it is right now. And I believe that's one of the reasons why we are starting to see the pushback on Israel with different people, different agencies coming out and saying that that's what's happening in Gaza is a genocide.
Well, the United Nations just said as much just the other day. At the same time, we know that an indictment from the International Criminal Court is hanging like a sword over the neck of Benjamin Netanyahu. And in fact, the mayor in waiting of the city of New York, speaking of Z. Kwame Mamdani, has announced that if Mr. Netanyahu shows up in his city, he will be arrested and dispatched to The Hague to stand trial for crimes against humanity.
Yeah. So what does that look like? I mean, it seems like Israel doesn't care at all. They just ramped up their offensive into Gaza City. I just don't. It seems like they're not responding to pressure from the world stage at all under this Netanyahu regime.
Well, stay tuned, because in light of their tragic and unfortunate bombing of Qatar, which was recruited by the United States to act as a mediator between the Israelis and Hamas, you had a meeting of major Islamic and Arab countries in Doha, the capital of Qatar, just the other day. And coming out of that gathering is a new mutual defense pact between Saudi Arabia, which has reason to believe that it may be next on the bombing list, and Pakistan, which has one of the most sophisticated militaries on planet Earth. And this should give Israelis pause with regard to going after Saudi Arabia, and in fact, going after other Gulf monarchies.
So when you talk about a backlash in the Arab world, is that what you're referring to?
Oh, absolutely. Because, and as well, Israel has been alienating Turkey, which is another major military power, which is in fact in a de facto alliance with Qatar. So the Israelis are getting in way over their head. And part of the problem is they may be dragging down the United States with it.
Because we're affiliated with them due to the fact that we give them billions of dollars every year?
And arm them to the teeth. And at the same time, you might have seen that New York Times article just the other day, which talks about how the United Arab Emirates invested billions of dollars into Mr. Trump's cryptocurrency that he has floated, which is now the major portion of the Trump family fortune. And at the same time, as a part of an apparent quid pro quo, the Trump regime decided to allow NVIDIA of Silicon Valley to sell sophisticated chips necessary for artificial intelligence to the UAE, despite the fact that some of Mr. Trump's counselors and advisors thought that these chips easily could leak to China, which is in turn close to the UAE.
Right.
So Mr. Trump has alienated India for example, which would supposedly be a part of the anti-China alliance. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. And as again, he's leading this nation over the cliff.
I've been reading various different totals about how many people we think, what the death toll we think is in Gaza. The official number, I think, is now at 60,000, 65,000. But there have been some various different data. The Squawk Box is saying that they believed, based on media reports and their aggregates, that it was closer to 450,000. There was another revised toll. They're saying 680,000. I've read 100 something thousand. And of course they're talking about people that die in the conflict. I don't know if that counts the people that starve to death. What do you make of this? Like, how do you sort it? Do you have an idea of how we know or estimate how many people really have perished in that military campaign?
Well, I would tend to go with the higher figures, but politically, what we need to understand is that Israel is engaged in ethnic cleansing. That is to say, they're trying to oust by any means necessary the Palestinian population from Gaza as a way to make for more settlements, because, of course, next on the agenda will be ousting the Palestinian population from the West Bank as well. And with regard to deaths, we should not lose sight of the fact of Israel targeting journalists. That is to say, those in your profession, particularly from Al Jazeera, which once again is sponsored by the government in Qatar, and their journalists have been dying like flies as a part of targeted assassinations.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I find so disturbing. Even though, of course, journalists in this country are not being killed, and just watching the way that this administration is dealing with journalists, and I'm based in LA, looking at the LAPD as they use so-called less lethal weaponry on reporters who are holding up press badges, which are issued by the LAPD. It seems like the idea of freedom of press, which used to be at least touted as a sort of sacred international principle, is out the window right now.
And you may have heard the threat that Mr. Trump made personally to Jonathan Karl of ABC News, not to mention a journalist from Australian Broadcasting, not to mention the fact that Karen Attiah, who had been the remaining Black opinion journalist at the Washington Post, just got sacked, presumably because of comments she made about the killing of Charlie Kirk and the aftermath of same. Once again, we're in uncharted waters right now.
Well, yeah, we're in uncharted waters. So I guess we only have like 30 seconds here, so we can talk more about this on the other side. But my pledge, and I've been asking everyone on the show to do this every day, is the pledge of courage, because the other alternative is just too distasteful.
Well, distasteful is the euphemism, because I think that, to put it frankly, the aftermath of the killing of Charlie Kirk bears an eerie resemblance to the fire at the German parliament in the 1930s, which was used as an accelerant on the path of the rise of fascism. That is to say, a crackdown on political opponents of the regime. You already have that taking place as we speak. People are becoming afraid to speak out for fear of losing their jobs or worse. And so certainly courage minimally is what we can ask for.
News, traffic, and sports, then more with Dr. Gerald Horne when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Governor Kathy Hochul is brushing off criticism from Andrew Cuomo after endorsing socialist Zohran Mamdani for New York City mayor. Cuomo called Hochul's views extreme and said she's accomplished nothing extraordinary.
I don't pay attention to comments like that.
Hochul fired back, insisting that Cuomo is wrong. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing the family of Delta State University student DeMartravion Trey Reed, found hanging from a tree on campus in Cleveland, Mississippi. Crump is demanding an independent investigation, saying the family deserves answers. And Black conservative commentator Candace Owens is under fire after claiming Charlie Kirk's killing was a targeted hit over his views on Israel. She alleged a tense Hamptons meeting with billionaire Bill Ackman was part of the plot to silence Kirk. Ackman and others deny the claims, calling them reckless and false. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This season, San Diego is playing at home, and you are on the roster. Don't miss the Padres, Wave FC, San Diego FC, and the Blue Angels at the Miramar Air Show. Plan your trip now at sandiego.org/awesome all year. Funded in part with City of San Diego Tourism Marketing District Assessment Funds.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers got a strong pitching performance from Blake Snell to beat Philadelphia last night 5-0. Snell had a season-high 12 strikeouts in 7 innings. The Dodgers got home runs from Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, his 51st this season. The Dodgers maintained their 2-game lead over San Diego in the NL West with 10 games left in the regular season. The Chargers placed All-Pro linebacker Khalil Mack on injured reserve, which means he'll miss at least the next 4 games. Mack was diagnosed with a dislocated left elbow. He was injured in the first quarter of the Chargers' win at Las Vegas Sunday night. The 34-year-old Mack has started 52 of 53 games with the Chargers. By the way, the Chargers have the number 1 defense in the NFL after 2 weeks, allowing only 15 points per game. The Chargers are at home Sunday against Denver. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZQL Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices. not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh boy. How does the hour go so fast when we're joined by Dr. Gerald Horne? All right, we're going to have a long speed round, Dr. Horne, because I got a lot of questions, and I know you have a lot of information for us. You raised this issue of an Africa-Japan summit, which I wasn't even tracking. As interested in it as I am in Africa, I didn't even know about this Yokohama summit. So what is that? What happened? What did I miss?
Well, what you missed, and the takeaway is that Japan, in competition for African resources, amongst other items, has decided to train 30,000 specialists from Africa in the emerging field of artificial intelligence. That's the major takeaway.
Whoa.
And Japan has good reason to go down that route because, of course, it's in stiff competition with China. It's in stiff competition with the United States of America. It's in stiff competition with South Korea, amongst other nations. And speaking of South Korea, I'm sure you are aware of this controversy in Seoul about what happened when these South Korean workers were shackled and handcuffed in Georgia.
Yeah.
After Mr. Trump beckoned them to build a sophisticated plant there. And now they've all gone back home. It's unclear if that plant will be built. You also need to ask yourself the question, would German workers have been treated the same in building a plant in Georgia?
Yeah, and I think we know the answer to that. It's so counterintuitive because what you're doing is actually stopping opportunity and capitalism. You're stopping good old-fashioned capitalism in your own country. But the fact that country that they had to, South Korea had to bring those workers back and take them back to their country, that feels unprecedented to me. I don't know if it is. Can you put it in historical context?
Well, sure. I mean, what's happening, as you know, is that Mr. Trump is cutting these deals, not least with Asian countries, where in return for lower tariffs, they're supposed to invest billions in the United States of America. And South Korea was part of that package. Japan is supposedly going to invest $550 billion in the United States in coming years, with Mr. Trump having sign-off as to where those plants and facilities will be built. Taiwan, which controls to a large degree many of the sophisticated chips that help to power artificial intelligence, is building a plant in Arizona as we speak. And so what this reflects is the changing world in which we live in, where many Asian nations are rising on the economic ladder. And there are those in the United States of America who have difficulty with that concept since they're immersed in white supremacy.
Okay, I said I was going to do speed round, so not so many follow-up questions, although I always have them. What is happening with our attacks on Venezuela? It's confusing in the sense that you never know what the Trump administration is doing versus what they're saying. He claims he's seeking out drug cartels and attacking, vessels that may be carrying drug cargo. The Venezuelan government certainly doesn't see it that way. And it seems like I've been reading that they are trying to retaliate. I'm not sure what that looks like.
Well, I would like to think that Mr. Trump is just putting pressure on Venezuela, that he's not contemplating an invasion, which will eventuate in many deaths of U.S. soldiers and sailors. I think he's trying to put pressure on the regime so that there will be an internal coup to overthrow President Maduro. The problem is that some of Venezuela's neighbors, such as Trinidad and Tobago, have egged on Mr. Trump. Recall that Venezuela has a beef with its neighbor Guyana, a territorial dispute which involves land that's rich in oil. And I think that helped to encourage Trinidad and Tobago to come out with these statements denouncing the Maduro regime. And ultimately, you have to ask yourself this question. If these boats that Mr. Trump and his minions are bombing are carrying drugs, why don't they arrest the people on the boats or detain the people on the boats? Why do they have to kill them?
Right. And so far, they've killed quite a few people. At least more than a dozen is what I'm reading in the one attack on September 2nd. So that's an interesting question. Why not take those folks into custody? Where are the arrests and what cartels specifically are we talking about? Because as the president of Venezuela said, it's a military attack on civilians otherwise at a non-war time, and there was that weren't threatening our country. So that seems like a war crime.
Well, it's the equivalent of the LAPD going up to a suspected drug dealer on the streets of Los Angeles, and instead of arresting them, he puts a bullet in their brain. I mean, that's basically what's happening right now. And the Trump regime is charging that President Maduro is actually the head of a drug cartel. The bounty on his head, wanted dead or alive, is larger than the bounty that was on the head of the late Osama bin Laden, for example. Now, keep in mind, to put this in context, that Politico has reported that the new national defense strategy of the United States, Pentagon, is prioritizing the hemisphere, is prioritizing the U.S. homeland. And the attack on Venezuela, the continued isolation of Cuba, the interference in the internal affairs of Brazil should be read in that context.
Yeah, and the antagonizing of Canada. Let's not forget that. The tweet, the all caps, I guess it was a truth. Be warned, if you're transporting drugs that can kill Americans, we are hunting you. That's what the president wrote. It reminded me of the former Filipino president, Duterte, who would just do vigilante justice and just kill people that he said were drug dealers with no trial, no charges filed, just executions.
Well, this is what I mean about these presidents being set. That analogy I used about the LAPD really should be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Just like we should take seriously the idea that Mr. Trump floated, that it's not just so-called undocumented workers like Abrego Garcia who will be sent out of this country. There will be homegrown people like yourself and myself who can be sent out of this country as well. Not to mention snatching our passports.
Right. That was a piece of legislation that so far has been withdrawn. Right. I mean, there was a piece of legislation going through or being proposed in Congress where the Secretary of State, Mr. Rubio, could just take the passports of American citizens that they decided were disloyal because of our political views. But that has been, I understand, withdrawn at this moment.
Well, sure, but can always be revived. And given the five-person conservative majority on the U.S. Supreme Court, they're willing to put their imprimatur on any harebrained idea that Mr. Trump comes up with. We've already talked about this notion of racial profiling, for example, which is neither logical nor fair, but apparently is the law of the land.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this New York Times article. In ordering strikes, I'm quoting right here, in ordering strikes on people it accuses of drug trafficking, Mr. Trump has used the military in a way that has no clear legal precedent or basis, according to legal specialists. So that's what they quote, legal specialists. He said he was going to do it. He said he admired Duterte, and now he's emulating him very exactly. What about Jay-Z and Beyonce meeting with the Kushners, and now we're hearing they may move to England. The Trumps, of course, Melania and the president having an unprecedented second royal muckety muck brouhaha for them. All the all the smoke and mirrors that the president loves so much. What do you make of that? And what do you make? I mean, I guess that's kind of a sidebar, but really, why would Jay-Z and Beyonce move to England? Why would they cozy up to the Kushners? Do you think that has more to do with a pivot in them trying to change their political imaging? Do you think it's because they're trying to open a casino in Times Square and you got to go through the Trumps? Or is there a connection to the England move?
Well, with regard to the Carters and the Kushners, it does not surprise me at all that billionaires tend to flock together. It also does not surprise me that they may be contemplating a move across the pond, because Beyonce in particular was a staunch supporter of Vice President Kamala Harris during her presidential run in 2024. Mr. Trump has a very vindictive spirit. He's charged that former President Obama is guilty of treason, a capital offense. He's going after Lisa Cook, the black woman on the Federal Reserve, on fraudulent charges of mortgage fraud, for example. He's going after Letitia James, the black woman attorney general of the state of New York, on similar grounds. He's going after your own Senator Adam Schiff on similar grounds. And so it does not surprise me that people with means are thinking about getting out of Dodge, for example.
So you think it's more that? I mean, I also know that our president has a, and I say that ironically, that our president does love to forgive people who come and kiss the ring, right? Marco Rubio is Secretary of State, little Marco Rubio. So that's why I thought perhaps if J and B, go and kiss the ring and, oh, well, now you're BFFs with Ivanka, we forgive you.
Well, recall that formerly J.D. Vance had analogized Mr. Trump to Hitler. And he chose J.D.
Right,
Vance
exactly.
as his vice president.
Exactly. So there is a forgiveness program. It requires a certain amount of humiliation, but that's what I thought perhaps was happening. We're talking with Dr. Gerald Horne. Really interested to hear your thoughts when we come forward on this. The splintering that I see on the far right and the even further right. Not just around Charlie Kirk, around Epstein, around Israel. It seems like the united front of the alt-right, as they like to call it, is not on solid ground right now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that moving forward. More with Dr. Gerald Horne straight ahead.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail, because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick correction. The total killed in both of those Venezuelan boat bombings is apparently 14, both of them together. So I overstated the death toll there, just double checking that number. I thought it'd be as factual as possible around here. And the president is meeting with the British Prime Minister right now. Prime Minister Starmer. It seems like the Brits are using the pomp and circumstance, kiss your butt method of keeping the president and the MAGA folks off their back.
Well, it's interesting. When Mr. Trump landed in London, he was greeted with a gigantic image of a picture of him and Jeffrey Epstein being projected onto Windsor Castle, for example. Plus, Channel 4, the major TV station in London, did a major documentary on all of the misinterpretations and outright lies that Mr. Trump has been making ever since he entered the White House in 2017. I think what we need to understand is that the Epstein scandal in particular is igniting rifts in the MAGA base. You know that Congresswoman Nancy Mace has not necessarily been supportive of Mr. Trump on Epstein.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people.
Yes, she's been not necessarily supportive on both Epstein and on Gaza, for example. And as you know, the Black woman conservative flamethrower, Candace Owens, is under fire right now because she's charging that Charlie Kirk was turning against Israel and Gaza, and this may have had a role with regard to why he has gone to meet his maker. So,
and then we also heard that, I mean, Nick Fuentes had to actually come out, and I think his group is Groper or something. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but he had to come out and say that they didn't kill Kirk because they believe that Charlie Kirk is too far moderate. And it's interesting that the president made a comment about Kirk being moderate and him being moderate. They mean moderate in the context of far right, you know. That's what they're talking about. But the fact that Nick Fuentes had to actually deny that his followers killed Kirk because they thought Kirk was too moderate is another indication of the splintering on the right.
Well, believe it or not, the Israeli regime also denied that it had a role in the killing of Charlie Kirk. But I think that they were responding to what Candace Owens was saying, because she kept recounting this story about how Bill Ackman, the Zionist billionaire, called Mr. Kirk onto the carpet in August 2025, and it was a very irritating discussion that they had on both sides. And so, once again, it's going to be difficult to explore all of these tensions and contradictions as long as free speech is being squelched.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the Breitbart retweeting of our show got me down some conservative rabbit holes on Twitter. And let me tell you, the conspiracy theories they have going around the murder of Charlie Kirk are really something to see. It's not just Candace Owens. There's a lot of conversation, which I'm sure is not helpful to Trump. And I wonder how that plays, him being over there hobnobbing with the Imperials while prices continue to rise in this country. I wonder how that's playing with the base.
Well, there's a hard core of the Trump base, which may be 30 to 35% of the electorate, that will not desert their man. As Mr. Trump said quite infamously, he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, and the base would still stick with him.
Yeah.
The problem, of course, is that the rest of us are being intimidated, or some of us are being intimidated. Our free speech rights are being snatched away, which compromises our ability to mobilize against the MAGA base.
Yeah. Okay. Squeezing it in. Why did you say? Why did you call out religious sectarianism in this context?
Well, this phenomenon of these Catholic converts, like Candace Owens, for example, who converted in 2024. She says that Charlie Kirk was on the road to becoming a Catholic as well. As we know, there's the split in Christianity that goes back to Martin Luther in 1517 between the Protestants on the one hand and the Catholics on the other. The Catholics are more centralized, they're directed from the Vatican. The Protestants are decentralized. They're more likely to be Christian Zionists. Witness the current U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, the former governor of Arkansas. And keep in mind that the United States, going back to the late 1500s and early 1600s, was built in no small measure on the basis of religious sectarianism. For the longest, Catholics were being persecuted in this country. We've only had one Catholic president, John F. Kennedy, and you know what happened to him. A bullet was put through his brain.
Well, and Biden, right? I mean, wasn't Biden?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Two, and we saw how he ended up as well. And so religious sectarianism can rarely be dismissed when it comes to discussing U.S. politics.
And why do you suppose that the HBCUs were threatened in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk? How do you connect those dots?
Well, that was very curious, was it not? I mean, here you have Charlie Kirk being killed in Utah, a state with a microscopically small Black population, at Utah Valley University with a similar sparse Black student body, and yet Spelman College and other HBCUs were threatened, were subjected to lockdowns. I think that the right wing, as used to be said in the 18th century, they see Black people as their intestinal foes. That is to say, any excuse will do to go after Black people, even the killing of Charlie Kirk, which Black people had nothing to do with.
Oh, man, we don't have a lot of time left, but you had some good news for me. Let's at least try to squeeze it in here.
Well, the meeting in Ethiopia just a few days ago, face-to-face of leaders of CARICOM, the Caribbean Community, Jamaica, Barbados, et al., with the African Union. On the agenda was reparations. There was a sizable delegation of Black Americans in Addis Ababa for that important meeting. At the same time, Ethiopia sees the opportunity to unveil the Grand Renaissance Dam, which is going to bring electricity not only to countless homes in Ethiopia, but throughout the sub-region, which is going to really help to accelerate economic productivity. So I think that is something to salute.
Absolutely it is. You did that really quickly. Dr. Horne, what do you want to leave us with?
Well, I'll leave you with the idea that, as you said a moment or two ago, that we really need courage in these difficult times. And at the same time that our free speech rights are being taken away, when people are being deported to the four corners of the planet, we need some of us to stand up and stand tall. And I'm confident that will take place.
Thank you for being one of those, Dr. Gerald Horne. And thank you for always making us smarter than we were at the beginning of the hour.
Thank you for inviting me.
We're going to talk with Dr. Paul Wallace next. It's all about your skin, your beauty, your well-being. Dr. Paul Wallace, dermatologist, is in the building. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Governor Kathy Hochul is brushing off criticism from Andrew Cuomo after endorsing socialist Zohran Mamdani for New York City mayor. Cuomo called Hochul's views extreme and said she's accomplished nothing extraordinary.
I don't pay attention to comments like that.
Hochul fired back, insisting that Cuomo is wrong. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing the family of Delta State University student DeMartravion Trey Reed, found hanging from a tree on campus in Cleveland, Mississippi. Crump is demanding an independent investigation, saying the family deserves answers. And Black conservative commentator Candace Owens is under fire after claiming Charlie Kirk's killing was a targeted hit over his views on Israel. She alleged a tense Hamptons meeting with billionaire Bill Ackman was part of the plot to silence Kirk. Ackman and others deny the claims, calling them reckless and false. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This season, San Diego's playing at home, and you are on the roster. Don't miss the Padres, Wave FC, San Diego FC, and the Blue Angels at the Miramar Air Show. Plan your trip now at sandiego.org/awesome all year. Funded in part with City of San Diego Tourism Marketing District Assessment Funds.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.